I'm going to talk about a dream from last night. And it was kind of a big one. So we're going to do our best to articulate it. First, I walked into... No. Before I begin, I am going to state that when I talk about a dream, when I talk about characters in a dream, I will be including as many details as I can remember about the whole thing in general. But about people, I will be including things like ethnicity, gender, age, because those are archetypally significant symbols, just like any other symbol in a dream. And typically the dreams that I have, there's a wide diversity of characters. I will also be sharing names if there are names connected to the characters, but I'll be sharing the meaning of the names, because sometimes they're real people, and the meaning of the names and the frequency associated with that symbolic meaning is usually what matters. Okay. So first, I walk into a Punjabi deli in a strip mall at night. It's quiet. There's nobody in there except for me and the one man and the one woman who are working there. They're standing beneath pale, slightly blinking fluorescent lights. And they have boredom in their eyes, disconnection. They are flickering as weakly as the lighting. I walk up to the counter and I'm going to pause this for one moment. Hold on. So I go up to the counter and I ask for $3 worth of some kind of dried fruit, chopped dried fruit, which is identified as figs. Now, the symbol of the fig is interesting to me because it is an extremely ancient food, ancient tree, that is thought to be one of the first ever cultivated plants, I believe, and there are some things pointing to it being the original fruit in that Adam and Eve ate in the Garden of Eden rather than an apple. And they then clothed themselves in fig leaves, which has a lot of symbolic connotations of if clothing, and because there has been so much emphasis lately on the physical representation of the spirit. The human being as being just that, a physical representation of the spirit, and that the way that we clothe ourselves, the way that we express ourselves physically is a legacy. Everything we do, our movements, our way of being, is an energetic legacy. It creates a pattern behind us. And the way that we visually clothe ourselves, adorn ourselves, it is practical, but it's also we represent ourselves. We represent ourselves. Anyways, back to the dream. I ask for $3 worth of chopped dried figs, and he pulls out a huge bucket, slaps it on the counter. And I say, that's too much. I wanted $3 worth. And he doesn't say anything, but he just gives me this look, like he's a little bit confused. But he can't be fucked to correct me, as he spoons some out into a much smaller container. But after he gives me the fruit, I realize that that big container he first gave me was $3 worth. But my expectation was for something much smaller. So I unknowingly received something much smaller than what I was actually asking for, and what was actually was being given to me, was the appropriate exchange. And it was all just based on a mental expectation that I had. I walk back out into the night, and I'm walking through this quiet parking lot, cutting across beside the strip mall, and there are other people out there. It's sort of lit dimly by sooty streetlights. And there are several people standing outside of a bar. And they're kind of speaking in the slurred voices of people who have been drinking and coughing as they smoke cigarettes. I pass by without any acknowledgement on my end or on their end. There's a invisible energetic barrier that I can sense very palpably. I'm in one world, they're in another world, even though physically we're quite close to each other. But it's like we don't see each other. Even though we do, but it's just a passing by. Then, a different man who is also outside the bar, but he's on the other side of it. I've turned the corner, so he's separate from these other people. He's sitting on a curb, and he sort of moves out of the shadows and comes walking beside me. And I can tell right away that he is different from the others, not just because he was separate, standing separately from them, but there is a quality to him that's different. First of all, he's interacting with me. He can perceive me in a way that they couldn't. And he starts talking to me about his friend who is inside the bar right now. And his friend is named Bright Fame. And he's telling me about how hard it is for him to watch this person who's in there drinking himself away with all the other people in there. Even though he has this beauty to him, that he has something that defines him. He clearly stands out, at least to this person who's telling me about him. He can sort of see who he really is, what he's really capable of. It's there, it's palpable, but it isn't. Bright Fame himself doesn't seem to realize it or see it, and is living this existence that is in total contrast to what he actually is. And as he's telling me all of this, the perspective is sort of shifting so that I'm viewing the inside of the bar, and I can see this man sitting in there, and I can see everything that he's saying, that he is actually physically glowing. Raven. And there's all of this denser, heavier energy around him that is also coming from him. It isn't coming from him. It's like a layer that's glued on him, I want to say. But underneath it, he is generating this power, warmth, strength, spirit, vitality. But he's sort of sitting there slumped, and he's just drinking, because all he's perceiving is this sort of, or all that he's feeling is that heavier outer layer, and he is perceiving actually the warmth as this the interior of the bar, the scenario that he's inside of. The comfort, there's comfort in it, and he sees himself as part of it, even though he isn't. We have now moved away from the parking lot and the street, and are now walking down a path that is tree-lined. There are no more streetlights, and there is no moon, so it's a very pure darkness. But yet I can see clearly in it. There's a young woman who's dressed in light clothing, very light beige clothing, who comes walking up from behind me, passes me, moves in front, and then she's walking at about the same paces me, so we're staying evenly spaced, but she's in front. And then this man who's been speaking to me, he moves in front of me as well, so that he's walking right in between us. And he says, "This must be what it's like to be between the sun and the moon." And that is interesting to me, because he's positioning himself as the earth, really, the land of matter. And physical experience, if you will. Interesting, my hands are balled up, bunched up. And he is facing, he has his back to me, so he is facing the person in front. And it isn't explicit in the dream, but the way that I'm understanding it right now is that I'm the moon. And I was going to say I'm the sun, but maybe it isn't. Maybe I'm the moon. And she's the sun? Correct. Which would mean I'm the reflective one. I don't quite, I'm gonna have to sit with that section some more. So he says that, and then he speeds up and he moves so that he's walking parallel to this other woman. And they're walking together, and they kind of have their arms around each other, and they're sort of talking like they're old friends. And their voices become, he was talking quite clearly before, but now as they're speaking together, their voices become kind of, they have that slur of alcohol to them. And suddenly I have a cup of water in my hand. And then it starts raining. It starts drizzling on us. And I throw the water on them. And when I do that, suddenly it switches. So now I'm in front and they're behind me. And they're standing there with water all over them. And they go, "Why did you do that?" And I say, "You needed to sober up. And you were already wet and cold. So it doesn't matter." And they both just start laughing. And then they kind of peel off and head back into the direction of the city where we came from. Then I'm inside of a room, a sort of undefined, unspecified space with that same man. And I'm talking to him about his friend, Bright Fame. And I'm explaining to him that life is, in some ways, like a movie. There are people who are leading characters. That's just what they are. It doesn't have anything to do with how loud they are. It doesn't have anything to do with how overtly visible they are in a public way. It doesn't have anything to do with class, status, conventionally thought of success, any of the sort of socially, mentally constructed beliefs. And these things that come from mostly from external validation. It is an inherent, innate quality. It is a gravity of being. And people who have that naturally, when they enter a space, and so I'm explaining all this to him, the inside of the bar is like the movie set. There's a scene playing out there. There's a story playing out there on that piece of land. The consciousness of that piece of land is playing out a story. And every time he goes there, he's participating in that story. He's taking on the role of a character within it. And if somebody has that leading character quality to them, the energy of the situation, of the moment, all the elemental forces that are mixing and moving and combining to create the moment, the unique flavor, will calibrate around those who are leading characters, who have the greatest gravity to them. And it has nothing to do with how other people perceive that person. And it has nothing to do with how they even perceive themselves. They are leading, whether they know it or not. But if they don't know it, they are likely to have a much more difficult experience. The energy will still move, be drawn to them, but they won't have the agency within it. And then I'm explaining to him, you are also a leading character, because if you weren't, you would not see it in him. All those qualities that you're seeing in him, the light, the power, the potential, the promise, whatever it is, you would not see it if it wasn't also in you. And you can't do anything about his choices to keep going to that same set. Where he is being served the same types of experiences typically. You can only do something about yours. Then the perspective changes to, it's as though I'm watching a video, but I'm mostly listening to it. I kind of look at it at first, and then and it's interesting that this was so clear in the dream that I'm really kind of consciously not looking at it, because that's actually how more and more I engage with media in waking life. And I've changed a huge amount of my relationship to media in general. I don't take in very much, and I'm really quite conscious about what I do and the way that I do, because it all has an energetic effect. And especially for me being me, to keep myself clear, I have to be pretty disciplined about that. But it's another man. And his name is Highly Decorated One Who Comes After. And he's juggling. And he's talking about how he learned to juggle by going to Costa Rica, specifically, and living there with somebody who was a really incredible juggler, and kind of immersing himself in that experience and just doing it over and over again, and learning it, and he's speaking with a lot of enthusiasm. He's kind of, and he almost drops a ball as he's talking, and he's sort of laughing, and there's this feeling of like it's go time, almost like this surging feeling of just do it, learn it, try it. Then it switches again, and the perspective is again like watching a movie, except this time it's full image, I am not me anymore, I am the I. And it's following there has just been a death of a young female singer who has light brown skin, very long black hair, and she seems of Latin descent. And she has just died, and it's following the aftermath of her death as it ripples through the community of people that she came from, who were And again, it's sort of this emphasis on her being this leading role and really actively moving out of this experience, this world that she was in, that she was surrounded by these people that were there that were not, they were never going where she was going. And it's following all they kind of one by one go on these downward spirals. As they aren't, because they're staying in their same patterns. They're doing all the same things that they were doing before, going to all the same places, but there is this weight, this grief, but it isn't really, and they're all men, actually. I'm realizing now they're all men. And they're not acknowledging the feeling, or they're not able to process it, and it's like this heavy feeling is following them, circling them, and they're circling down and down, and it ends up actually showing the one man standing on top of a rusty iron tower and throwing himself off. And he hits the ground, and it is what you would expect from that type of impact. But the ground that he hits is a sort of pool of clay-colored water, thick clay-colored water with skeleton beings who are swimming through it, but they're not quite human skeletons. They're like the skeletons of some kind of marine, like almost humanoid, part humanoid marine mammal. And they're all swimming, circling around his body that just hit the ground. And they're circling around, and as they're moving, their limbs and their arms, this liquid is sort of being cleared away, cleansed away. And then eventually it all disappears, and they disappear too. And then laying there, instead of the corpse of this man, is the female singer from the beginning, and she's laying there on her back, and she looks very peaceful, very serene, and there are huge black feathered wings spreading out from her shoulders. And then I woke up to the sound of a lot of crows cawing. And I also woke up to a very intense, it was more of that surging feeling. I just touched the mic of now it's time. For the voices that haven't been heard to be heard. And it's also interesting because this death that was in the dream has followed me outside of the dream too, and there is an interesting it's something that is really strong collectively right now, that archetype, that signature I'm hearing lower feminine signature, and when I say lower, I don't mean it in the way that that word is often interpreted. The lower realm, speaking shamanically, the lower realm is very sacred, very powerful. And there is a lot of beauty in it. But there are just many people who have only understood it, perceived it through a fear-based paradigm. So that is the experience and expression that they get, or the perception that they have. So the process of death is very strong right now within that archetype, within the whole feminine polarity in general. There may be the way that it is manifesting in my reality today is the death of a dog, a female dog. Who is connected to a singer, a young female singer. And I just found out about that after having this dream. Death is always a celebration because it marks a transition, a transformation. And it's right to acknowledge it, to feel it, to be present with it, but it is always a celebration. I'm also going to show you a drawing that I made that is connected to the concept that I was speaking about in the dream. Which is always weird for me when I am speaking about something in a dream with such clarity, that in waking life I understand much less clearly. It's always interesting. This drawing I began back in May, actually, and then I forgot about it for a while, and then recently got this really clear message of finish the trees, and I actually had no idea what. I have at any given time many different drawings going on at the same time, and I was looking through all of them, and none of them were of trees, which is actually weird for me. Usually there's trees, but I couldn't think of which. But the message was clear, and then I remembered this one, and I finished it. And it's called the Mother Tree. And it is connected to that, the leading role concept. Because when you look at these trees, this one, if you took all of this stuff away, it doesn't look any different from the others. It even looks a bit smaller than some of the others. But yet everything is being generated from it. And I'm not sure if you can see on camera, there's this one line that is connecting it to this central pool, well. And then from that taproot, it is connecting to all these others. Now, this tree is not any more real than the other trees. It is not more important. All of them together are creating this circle. But this one is in a central position within that circle. And maybe this is just the perspective that this image is showing us, where this one tree is being highlighted. Maybe there is a perspective where each one of these trees is actually the central tree. If you were to kind of move sideways into a different world, into a different realm. But the focus of this image is on this one. Because the point is, what is the point? It's right there. I think I'm not supposed to say it. just going to let you look at that for a while. The colors aren't really showing up quite right. And I think that pretty well wraps it up. Okay. Bye for now. Actually, not quite done. I don't know how, I forgot this, but right before turning this on to record, I wasn't even really meditating, not meaning to, but I got sucked into a pretty heavy trance, which happens sometimes, and ended up going through this whole this is a blend of sequoia, rosemary, and yarrow. Going through this whole process that I wasn't intending. One moment. Big disruption there. I wasn't intending on doing this, but it just started happening, which is how these types of experiences usually work for me. They just start happening. And I was suddenly going through a process with the archetype of the mother, and a certain strain and vibration of energy connected to that archetype that I have been dealing with for a long time, that has collectively been very present for a long time. And it has had an access point to me through my own mother, right? Because that's how these things work. And it is separate. It doesn't have anything to do with her as a person. There is a strong relationship there. And there is a soul connection there that is different. But there's a certain frequency of energy that comes through at times, and there's certain real experiences that we have gone through that have created certain patterns. Anyways, for privacy's sake, I'm going to keep the details out of it, but it does feel important to talk about the process that suddenly was happening because of what it represents collectively, archetypally. There was a clearing away happening. Suddenly I was visually seeing this cord connecting us, and it was a very pure light. cord of light. But then around it was this other energy that had a much more clinging textural quality to it, and it is something that I've now had several of these experiences, so I'm getting better at identifying these things really quickly. And this energy is connected to a lot of survival and fear-based patterns and karmic layers even, which are still present in this other person's reality and experience. They have not gone through the type of clearing that I have gone through. So that energy is still, and it has nothing to do with whether they're conscious, because they're not. They're not like sending anything knowingly, but that energy, it will just always, that's what it does. It will seek to travel up that connection point, that line. And I found myself speaking certain words, visually. Well, I actually followed this, there was a route, it was traveling up this light cord, which is the actual true connection between us, and then there was this false connection, like a clinging vine that was wound around it, and I found myself pulling it out, and it was thin. It was like a thread, something that would be easy not to notice, and I could feel it. And then there was there were more words that I was speaking and sending a pulsing sort of emanation outwards that was cleansing this connection point, and it was what it really was doing was hugely strengthening my own awareness of what is actually coming from her, from this other person. And that needs to stay there. Even if it is painful to witness, even if there is an instinct from the many patterns and the not just between us as people, but culturally, socially, the patterns of expectation for what a relationship should look like. And there were some voices connected to that energy coming towards me that were very unpleasant, and in the past could have easily elicited a fear response from me. But one of my greatest lessons has been learning, once you recognize something for what it is, Once you can distinguish between false and truth, falsehood, false and true, that's power. You're in a position of power. It's very passive. Nothing has to be done. Just that alone, that awareness alone, creates a boundary, creates safety, and there was no feeling of fear that came out of me. Which I was very happy to notice. And I took that thread that had been creeping in there, because this specific relationship has gone through a lot of changes over the last few years, and we have done a lot of healing, I would say, and there has been a gradual clearing away, but this still there. And I am starting to learn also that this is a type of, when you're dealing with a relationship that exists between two people who are on pretty different levels of awareness, there is just always there's always a maintenance that has to take place in any kind of relationship. But this is specific, I think, because there are very few people these days who I would maintain a connection to that requires this type of maintenance. But this is not a connection that I'm willing to lose. Which means that my awareness has to be very strong. In order for it to be, for that connection to be healthy. Very strong boundaries have to be very clear. And I took that thread and I released it, and it circled back into the sphere of that person. And there was this release because it was a very clear acknowledgement that I kind of unconsciously had still been carrying this sense of weight, responsibility even. It was given back. But then there was also a lot of reinforcement then that went into the true connection. Because there is something actually quite strong and beautiful there. And then there was I pretty much had to go through the exact same process with another family member, also a woman, who is again these are kind of the only two connections I have at this point that are this, I don't know how to say that are requiring this type of maintenance that I have allowed to continue to be connected to me. And that one had an even deeper, it was actually a stronger root. And I had a pretty intense shamanic experience already with that connection that happened in a dream. And this was a much gentler, I would say, experience, which was nice. But again, it was this sort of, pulling out, releasing back to that person, and then reinforcing the truth, but yeah. And I guess I'm sharing all of this because it feels important to start documenting these types of experiences. That was a weird way to say that. And because it is again connected to this big shift taking place within the feminine, collective feminine polarity. Big shift. Huge, I might say. Yeah. So that wanted to be added. And now I think that is actually wrapped up. Okay. Yes. Bye for now. For real.